Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great Friday, and thank you so much for coming in to watch this video. So we do have a lot to talk about today. Cleanspark filed with the SEC today that they are doing a shelf offering of 500 million. We'll take a look at what could that mean as far as dilution and as far as how much they could grow with that amount of money. All right, that's if they use it all up. We'll also take a look at what we have here. Oh, that's not that. Bitdeer announced December production updates as well. There's some good news there for them as well, along with Core Scientific. I think there's good news there. They grew their hash rate quite nicely here in the month of December, and their BTC mine was quite up nicely. So we'll take a look at that. And then we also have Hut 8 operations. There's some good news there for them buying facilities and possibly growing their hash rate going forward. And then we got Iris Energy as well. There's some good news in here also. So we got a lot of stuff to go over. We'll also take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin and Bitcoin miners today. And then I think we'll call it pretty much a day. So the chapters are going to be down below for you guys as always. And then let me know what you guys think of this new intro where we go through all the different things we're going to talk about. Something that we haven't done in the past. I mean, I talk about it, but I don't actually point things out. So appreciate feedback on that. If you guys enjoyed it or not, let me know. And then obviously you guys know this. This is the disclaimer here. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. I'm investing in following coins and companies as always. For full disclosure, and if you enjoyed separate content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And hitting the like button does help with the YouTube algorithm and just, gets the video out to more people. So I do appreciate it. Okay, so let's get into what's going on here really quick with the miners as far as Bitcoin and everything else is concerned, and then we'll get back into the news that we do have here. Okay, so Bitcoin had a kind of wild day today. It was down quite a bit. It finished up actually down just a little bit. It was down 0.02% on the day. So it closed at 44,186. The low for today was 42,450, so almost 2,000 swing here on the day alone. Some were thinking that we might get the spot Bitcoin ETF approval. It looks like it may not happen now until possibly the 10th or the 11th sometime. If you follow Twitter at all, there's a bunch of great guys on there that provide some of the ETF news out there. And it looks like basically what we're waiting now is on the S4 filing, I think it's called, which is going to be happening possibly Monday morning. And after that, we might get the approval Tuesday or Wednesday sometime if that all happens. But it looks like it's pretty much a done deal. But nothing's a done deal until the SEC actually says that it is a done deal. Okay, so we'll see what happens there. And we'll see what happens with Bitcoin over the weekend here coming up. But the miners, on the most part, had a pretty bad day today. Bitcoin obviously falling down. They didn't really bounce back as Bitcoin did, which was kind of surprising. But NA was down 8.3%. Argo was down 8.3% as well. Bitdigital was down 6.7%. Bitdeer was the only one that was up 1% here, 1.1%. Bitfarms was down 7.1%. Cypher down 6.6%. Cleanspark down 5.1%. Core is down, actually up 7.2%. And I think Core was up because of the information that they actually grew their hash rate or increased their hash rate. And we'll talk about that and when we get into the details here. Not sure what's going on there. But DigiHost here was down 12.6%. DMG was down just 0.2%. Greenidge was down 4.9%. Hive was down 4.6%. Hut down 5%. Iris Energy down 8.1%. Marathon 8.1% as well. Lawson was down 3.2%. Riot 6.4% down. Soluna down 5.6%. Stronghold down 3.6%. And then Wolf was down 11.8%. So we finished out the week probably in the red here for the majority of the miners here. So we'll take a look at that when we do the weekly updates for Bitcoin versus Bitcoin miners for the week coming up this weekend. Okay, but that's it. That's all we got there. Let's take a look at the stories that we do have here. So the first one obviously is going to be on Cleanspark. They just provided this today with the SEC. And basically what it means is, well, they're going to be selling their common stock here to a value of 500 million, which is right there. And that's going to be through H.C. Wainwright and Company. And I looked for what are they going to be doing with this, and I forgot to actually underline it. Let's see, incorporation, where did I see it? Overview. Let's see here. Provide more information. Security notes. Use of proceeds, there it is. Except as otherwise set forth in any accompanying prospectus supplement, we expect to use the net proceeds from the sale of securities for general corporate purposes, which may include funding our future development, strategic acquisitions, or other significant corporate transactions. So I'm guessing this is going to be more or less for their growth going forward, right? When we saw Bitfarms saying that they're getting 12 exahash, potentially getting to 17 exahash now it's this year, 2024, that kind of, I think, can open up the eyes of Cleanspark's CEO and others in there. They're getting to 20 exahash this year, possibly by the end of the first half in this year. And I think they want to grow a little bit more. So we'll take a look at how much could they actually grow with the 500 million that they could be getting, depending if they'll use it all up or if they may use only a portion of it. But I think it's more for growth than anything else. Okay, so if we look at some numbers here, excuse me, let's take a look at the iPad here. So just some raw numbers here, right? 500 million is kind of what they're getting that they have access to right now. They could, at this current time, if the stock is at $10 something right now, that would mean a dilution of 50 million shares as of right now. If they wait a little bit, if the stock goes up a little bit or somewhere in between there, so we're kind of looking between $20 maybe, and then obviously that would be a 25 million dilution there. Somewhere between there, we could be looking at maybe 35 million or something like that, 35 million shares dilution. They have 89 million shares as of this prospectus. They put it in here someplace. I saw it. Yeah, 189 million right here. Let me point this out to you guys. So right there, 189 million is what they currently have. That would get them to between, let's just say it's 190 for even. They get 35, so we're looking at 225 million shares out there. That wouldn't be too bad. In my view, that wouldn't be too bad. But you guys, let me know what you guys think of it down below. Okay, next, if we look at where they could possibly grow, and it just all depends on what their plans are. We don't know what their plans are. This is just some speculation here on my part. They could possibly end up getting, well, they would need to get about 450 megawatts of basically infrastructure. So data centers, facilities, things like that, access to 450 megawatts potentially. And if they were to buy these 200 terahash miners right now, excuse me, they're out there, that would cost them at $18 per terahash on average is what we're seeing right now. That would cost them 370 million right there. That would basically give them 20 exahash of growth. They're going to be at 20 exahash at the end of the first half of this year. So that would get them to 40 exahash potentially, right? In between where kind of Marathon and Riot is kind of getting to, right? Will they end up doing this? I don't know, but this is kind of just back of the napkin math here that we're doing, seeing what they could actually get for this. Okay, so overall, I think this might be a good thing as long as we get growth, right? If they use it for corporate purposes where it's just paying their bills or something like that, I'm not really too for it. But if they're going to be growing, which I think they are, because we've seen that record with them so far over the last couple of years, I see no reason why that wouldn't grow even further. So let me know what you guys think of this, but I think this is good news. So I'm bullish on this. Okay, so that's it for that one. Like I said, let me know what you guys think of that one, and we'll get on to the next stuff here. So let's take a look at the next story that we have here, which is going to be on Bitdeer. So Bitdeer announces December 2023 operations update. There's some good news here. There's some also a little strange stuff, but we'll take a look at it here. So here's a little quote from them. Let's see here. They're talking about the success, the increase in mining. The success came despite our retiring of approximately 6,000 legacy mining machines. So when I was doing the numbers here, they're actually down about, I think it's 500 petahash or something like that. So I was doing the math on my spreadsheets. Like, I think they're probably just getting rid of some old miners, but we didn't have any really good data on them going prior to when they became public as far as what they were purchasing in miner-wise. But we had on average, I think it was 93 terahash per miner on average of what they had installed. So they might have had some older miners in there, and so this kind of makes sense here, okay? Meanwhile, our Gedu data center remained fully operational during December, providing us with 3.3 exahash hash rate and mining 230 Bitcoin, representing approximately 53% of our Bitcoin mined for the month. We also had a new general hosting customer in December, which contributed to month-over-month increase in our hosting hash rate, so that's good there. And then here, construction of our 175 megawatt immersion cooling data center at our tidal mining facility in Norway has continued and remains on track to finish by mid-2025. Meanwhile, we are planning to commence construction of a 221 megawatt data center in Ohio, United States, as part of an ongoing strategy to expand our electrical capacity. This construction is also expected to be completed in 2025 sometime. So the 2025 timeframe is a little bit out there, right? We're basically having the halving event here in a couple months. Typically, when the halving event happens, we usually see Bitcoin peak about 12 to 18 months after that, roughly. That's going to put us right into 2025. At that point, we're going to be at the peak. So I don't know how much they're going to be able to upgrade or install machines, or if they're planning on anything. I'm guessing they're planning on it. But it's going to be interesting to watch how they're able to maybe grow into that bull run as it goes. Or they might be actually on the tail end of it, towards the end of it, where we're just going to start seeing Bitcoin prices going down, and at that time getting it back into the bear market. So it'll be interesting to watch how this proceeds. Okay, it's going down here. We can see that their self-mining was 6.7, so that's a decrease from the 7.1 that they had here. In November, cloud hash rate actually increased a little bit here to 1.7, and then their hosting increased a little bit as well to 12.6 from the 12.4 that they had there. Okay, let me see if there's anything else. Okay, here it is. Recent developments. So in December 2023, the company took delivery of its initial DGX H100 devices from NVIDIA, which are currently undergoing installation and testing. The company expects its DGX SuperPod-based high-performance cloud services platform to launch in the first quarter of 2024. So obviously, this current quarter that we're in. So that's fine. So we're seeing obviously a lot of miners get into this AI space. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And I say that all the time when I do these videos and we talk about the AI space. We just don't have a lot of history on it. So like I said, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Okay. Also, this is very interesting here. The company has placed an order with Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company Limited to purchase masks and wafers. These chips are designed for Bitcoin mining and are expected to be delivered in the first quarter of 2024 for further design validation and prototyping testing. The testing result still remains unknown for now due to high risk of semiconductor design and R&D work. Okay, this is really interesting here for a couple of reasons. Because we know that Marathon is working with, gosh, I can't remember the name right now. Drawing a blank. So put it down in the comments if you remember the name of the company that they're working with. I'm just drawing a blank right now. But Marathon has invested in a company that's designing ASIC miners as well, right? So now we're seeing that also Bitdeer here is working to make possibly their own ASICs, which is kind of interesting. Things that I would like to know about this is what type of nanometer technology are they using? 5 nanometer, 3 nanometer, 2 nanometer technology? And then as far as, well, it's going to be SHA-256 algorithm, I'm sure for that. But it'll be just interesting to see how they actually develop their own systems that way. And is this going to be the future going forward where Bitcoin miners are going to these semiconductor manufacturers and actually designing their own chips around what they actually want? All right. That's going to be interesting. So stay tuned for that. We'll see if that actually is the path forward going into the future here. Okay. But I thought this was really interesting. And I think this was actually very good news here. Okay. So that's it on that one. Let's take a look at the numbers that we do have here for Bitdeer, and we'll discuss some of the stuff that we do have here. So Bitdeer, as of right now, has about 111 million shares outstanding. Stock price is at $8.11. Market cap at $902 billion. The performance over the last 12 weeks has been pretty good. Up 190% from 12 weeks ago, up 148% from 8 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, they're up 58%, and then last week they were down 3.52%. I'm sure they're going to be down probably this week, as well as have most of the miners here. But we'll see it on the weekend video. Okay, hash rate 6.7 right now is what we got. And future hash rate 7.6. That might be actually coming down if they actually remove miners. They haven't reported anything being added to replace the older miners that they're getting rid of. Okay, hodl, they don't hodl anything here. BTC production here. They peaked in September with 482 Bitcoin. You can see that here. And it was trending downwards here through November, even though November had quite a bit of transaction fees, not as much as we had in December. But they picked back up here a little bit in December to 434. So I'm guessing there's going to be some curtailing going on there. And then month over month difference here. BTC hodl, they don't hodl anything. BTC per exahash efficiency is at 64 here. It has come back up, which is kind of nice to see. It's still not, it's kind of like the middle of the road here between the miners that are very efficient and not so efficient. Excuse me. BTC sold, they sell everything here, and then you can see their hash rate. They peaked at 7.2 exahash in August, continued through November here, and then back down in December to 6.7. They got rid of some older miners, which is fine. They're going to be a little bit more efficient, but we'd like to see that get replaced. Okay, revenue as far as that's concerned, that has been growing, which is nice to see here. August, they kind of bottomed out. Well, last February is when we started tracking them, but that has actually been going really well for their self-mining. So that's good. They're up to 18.4 million right now. Hash rate difference month over month, BTC sold value, they sell everything, and then we got the last 4 quarters revenue. We only have the 3 quarters really right now, and we really should probably put in the current quarter that we're in here. I'll probably do that. If I remember to do that, I'll put that in. But current quarter looks like we're going to be at, I'll go down here. It looks like for self-mining, it's going to be, nope. So the self-mining estimate, 46 million right now for self-mining as it is. Okay, so that's going to be, we're including the hosting in there as well. So hosting is estimated in here. Hosting, I don't have a lot of data on that other than what they provide as far as their hash rate is. They don't provide how many Bitcoin they got for it. So we're just estimating that on that one. And those two combined would be about 85 million here, which would be an increase, or actually it'd be a decrease here from Q3. Interesting. So we'll see. This one is a little bit difficult to track. So my numbers are going to be possibly off a little bit. Okay. Let's see. We talked about that. We talked about all that. Let's see here. Now, they're Total current assets are very healthy, so that's not a problem there, okay? Institution side of things, they still have the same institutions. 41 shares did increase a little bit here to 9.2 from 9.1 million, and percentage increased a little bit to 14.66. They still have only 2 buy ratings, 0 hold, 0 underperform, 0 sells. Price targets stay the same, $20 for the high, $18.50 for the average, and $17 for the low. Okay, going down here as far as what was operational here. So I had to break these miners out, which is kind of our estimated number that they provided when they became public. And we basically got rid of these 500 petahash of these miners here. We don't know what those are. That left us with the 83 petahash left out of that, which is down here. So I fixed all of that. That should be correct. And then we had to add 3.6 million in additional revenue from BTC transaction fees. And that kind of coincides with that's about 20% of the revenue here. So that kind of coincides with the revenue that we were seeing increases in the miners. Around 20% is roughly like the average around there. Some have gotten a little bit better, some a little bit less, but more or less it's around 20%. So that kind of coincides with that. That got us to the 18.4 million here. And then based on all that, we are seeing here that they are, now this is looking backwards, going back to the last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in, and we're getting them at $15.24 to $22.86. They're at $8.11. I think they're kind of undervalued here. If we had better data, it would be better to tell. But if we look forward here, they're between $10.92 to $16.38. So going forward, we're looking at the December numbers for their revenue and then multiplying it times the 3 months before the halving event and then the 9 months after the halving event at 50%. And that's kind of where we're getting them at right now. So pretty close to what the analysts are looking at. For at least this top one here, a little bit more closer possibly than the bottom number here, okay? That's basically with a P of 10 because we don't have any really growth going into the halving event or past halving event really right now. They haven't reported as buying any new miners, at least nothing that I have seen. So if you have seen anything like that, let me know, obviously in the comments down below, okay? But that's basically it for them. The good thing, like I said, is they are looking to possibly do their own mining, looks like machines at least. That's going to be interesting. They are growing. They are into 2025 as far as their megawatts availability. And then how far they grow their self-mining, that's all to be seen yet. Okay? All right. So next, let's take a look at the next one here, which is going to be on Core Scientific. Core Scientific announces December and full year 2023 production and operations update. And here's what we have. So produced a total of 13,762 self-mined Bitcoin and an estimated 5,512 Bitcoin from co-location miners in 2023. So definitely a lot there. Excuse me, I gotta take a sip of water because my throat's starting to get dry. Okay, going down here, so here's some metrics that we do have for them. Self-mining produced was 1,177 for December. Co-location Bitcoin produced 449. We're not tracking really that. In the past, their hosting has been unprofitable. In the last quarter, we saw that it is getting more profitable, so that's good. Maybe going forward, we may track that a little bit as well to see how that is going to impact the stock price. But in the past, it wasn't, excuse me, in the past, it wasn't something that was contributing to their bottom line, basically. They were losing money on it, actually. Okay. And Bitcoin sold here. They sold actually more than they self-mined. So they're taking some of the Bitcoin that they got from hosting as well, sold that. And then let me see, what else do we have here? I think that is it. But overall, the good news is here that their hash rate has grown. Oh, self-mining 6.9 hash rate. Okay, so that is good there. So let's take a look at the numbers that we do have for them. And where are they? Core Scientific. So Core Scientific right now has 386 million in shares outstanding. They are in bankruptcy. We'll see how that all gets restructured after they get out of the bankruptcy sometime this month. They are, I think, going to be doing a reverse split potentially, and then they're going to be trying to get back on the NASDAQ markets as well. So we'll see where everything kind of plays out. But this is kind of what we're dealing with right now. Okay, market cap 625 million. Definitely undervalue my basis based on what they are mining at. But we know that they're in bankruptcy, and that's the reason why. Okay, performance over the last 12 weeks has been really good. 167% from 12 weeks ago, 132% up from 8 weeks ago, up 106% from 4 weeks ago, and then last week they were actually up 13.28%. There weren't too many miners that were up, but they were one of them for last week. Okay, current hash rate 16.9 exahash, and I need to probably update this future hash rate because I thought at one point, if we look at their hash rate down below, we'll take a look at it. It looks like I thought they were maybe selling miners, but I have not heard anything about them. I know that they're buying miners from Bitmain, but I thought that wasn't supposed to happen until they finalized the deal to get out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. So I might have to do some number checking on this one, okay? So if we'll take a look at it down below. They don't hodl anything right now. BTC production here, you can see that they peaked in January of last year with 1,527 Bitcoin mined at that point, and then that's been sliding down here. May was a little bit of an anomaly because we had the Bitcoin transaction fees being added to that, so 1,314, but every miner had that as well. And then it just continued going down here through October. Then we got Bitcoin transaction fees added in November as well, and now in December as well. So that's helping them out. And plus they also grew their hash rate, which is nice to see there. Month over month difference here of what was being mined for BTC. BTC per exahash efficiency actually went up pretty nicely here to 69.57. You can see what they sell here. Hash rate, right? They were at 17 basically exahash at the beginning of the year. And then you can see how that's kind of been going down. So I don't know if they were just curtailing those or the miners weren't profitable that they had. But based on what I have here, they were like the 100 terahash miners. Those should have been profitable still throughout this period. But depending on what their power cost was. So maybe that's the reason for it. But then they were kind of up and down here throughout April to November. And then we obviously had a huge spike here in December with everything being said and done here. Revenue here. Best revenue that they've had here all year, last 13 months. 50.08 million here. That's going to help them probably pay down the debt more than anything. So Bitcoin continues to go up. Transaction fees stay pretty good. That's going to help them pay down the debt possibly faster if they wanted to on that one. Okay, hash rate difference, BTC sold value, how much they sold. And then looking at the last 4 quarters, you can see that the revenue was going up through Q1 of 2023, and then we were sliding downwards through Q3 here with 83 million. Now it looks like they might be at about 112 million based on that. And that's just for self-mining. We don't know what they're going to get for hosting as well. That's going to add potentially maybe another 20, 30 million. I don't know exactly what that's going to be, but that's going to add into it as well. We'll see how profitable they are there. Okay, let's go down to the analysts here. So analysts stayed the same, or institutions 28, shares stayed the same. Everything pretty much stayed the same from a month ago when we checked it. So there's really no change there, except for we do have now 2 hold ratings for them instead of 3. So that's the only change that we saw on that data. Okay, going down here as far as miners, we plugged back in some miners here. So we plugged in, it looks like these miners here, which is 310 petahash, and then these 1300, 1.3 exahash here as well. But then we still had to add about 9 million in additional BTC transaction fees, which I believe is going to be about the 20% mark here for this as well. So that gets us pretty close to that. And they were basically operating for about 31 days or so. Pretty close to that. It's tough to tell, but pretty close. Okay. So that's the numbers there that we have. And then, yeah, if we look at the future hash rate, I'm subtracting some of these that were no longer being used, at least in the earlier part of the year. So we may add those back in. So that would get us back up to, let's do that now. That would possibly get us back up to, if those are going back on, to 17.4 right now. And they do have obviously the option that they're buying, the 3.7 exahash of the XPs from Bitmain, which is going to be part of that as well. So that could possibly get them to, let's add that in there right now. Let's see what will that get them to. That'll get them to probably 21 exahash roughly, if that happens. Okay, so we'll use that number here. We'll see if this doesn't go through, then we'll get rid of it. But that's kind of what we're going to use right now. Okay, there's the explanation on that one. Based on where they are right now for the last 3 quarters, current quarter that we're in, we're looking at a PE of 10. We could probably bump them up to PE of 15 because they do have a little bit of growth left. Was it 3.7 exahash, 3.8 roughly going into it? We could bump them up a little bit, but they're still way undervalued in my opinion, regardless. I have them at $5.06 to $7.59. And then if we look at the next 12 months, we're looking at $4.86 to $7.30, right? They're $1.62. I still think that they're way undervalued based on this. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this. The hash rate increase in here is nice to see coming back up. The revenue going back up increase is nice to see also. So definitely a great month for Core Scientific. And like I said, we'll have to see how they actually exit out of this Chapter 11 bankruptcy this month. That'll be interesting. All right, that's it for that one. Next, Hut 8 operations here. So Hut 8 operations update for December 2023. We do have some good news here and some other news as well. So currently deployed hash rate for self-mining. As you know, they have a lot of different business segments now. They got self-mining, managed services, hosting. But what we really care about is self-mining. Excuse me. That's 7.2 exahash. You was 7.3 exahash. I'm wondering if they're getting rid of some of the older miners that they have out there. Bitcoin produced was 453 BTC, nice increase from the 390 that we saw. And then Bitcoin balance sheet was 9,195, which is a nice increase from the 9,129. But they did sell quite a bit of it. Okay, going down here, highlights. Okay, let me take a sip of water. So the highlights are, on December 31, Hut 8 signed a definitive agreement to purchase 63 megawatt substation and 1.9 acres of land for approximately 7.1 million. The company has also entered into a lease for 20 additional acres of land in Culberson County, Texas. This transaction gives the company the optionality to build out front of the meter site, engage in demand response programs, and expand our self-mining capacities or our hosting capacity in the near to medium term. So interesting to know what's on that site right now. They said it's a substation with 63 megawatts. Let's see what that would actually get them and what they could actually buy for that. So if we go back here and go over here, let's put in 0.63. So it's going to be 0.063. So that gives us 63 megawatts. They could possibly, if they get the 200 terahash miners, they could get to approximately 2.8 exahash increase in that, and that would cost them approximately 51 million to do so. Okay, so some numbers there for you. So I think this is good news. Them growing, obviously, is something that we want to see. They're only at 7 point something exahash right now. Growth going into the halving event and after the halving event is going to be obviously important. And then here on December 28th, the United States Bankruptcy Court for Southern District of New York granted approval for the Hut 8 to proceed with its full mining operations plan in connection with the Celsius Network LLC bankruptcy proceedings. So that's good there. They're going to be basically in charge of 12 exahash, 122,000 miners, 300 megawatts of that. Okay, and then here we go. In December, despite modest month-over-month changes in operational metrics, as mainly self-mining machines were temporarily pulled offline for regular maintenance and repair, Hut 8 produced 63 more Bitcoin than in November, which is attributable to an increase in transaction fees and improved efficiency gains realized at Hut 8's Foxtrot and Gulf sites in Medicine Hat and Drumheller after completing the implementation of the company's purpose-built proprietary software at those sites. So that's kind of what we got there, and I think that is it. Yeah, I mean, you can see the sites that they have here now after being joined with USBTC. It's a lot more, which is good, and we just want to see them to continue to grow. But they obviously did have their hash rate decrease a little bit here, which isn't too bad, just 100 petahash. So let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them, and then we'll get into the last one here that we got. So Hut 8, and then with Hut 8, all the numbers that I have for them for the previous quarters is all Hut 8 by itself. So there's nothing contained in there that's USBTC. The current quarter that we just finished up, Q4, I'm guessing will probably contain USBTC numbers in there as well. So a lot of the numbers that we have down below, and I'll explain it to you guys. As far as my estimates, they're going to be way off. I think the future estimates are going to be a little bit more accurate, possibly, but still not as accurate as I like them to be, because I just don't have the data going back historically with the combined company. So once we get more of the metrics here, data for them, we'll get more accurate metrics, I think. Okay, so there's that caveat for you guys. Okay, shares outstanding right now, 88.5 million shares. Market cap about 1 billion right now. Stock price $11.90. Performance over the last 12 weeks has been kind of mediocre compared to some of the other miners. Right, they're only up 55.6% from 12 weeks ago, 22% from 8 weeks ago, 30% from 4 weeks ago, and then last week they were down 10% on that one. Current hash rate 7.2 I have them at right now, and then future hash rate is going to be 7.3. So they're pretty much fully installed for the self mining. So we'll have to see how they grow that. They do have a huge hodl position, 9,195 Bitcoin. That's valued at about 404 million. So they got plenty of cash to do if they wanted to grow, which looks like they're getting into that growth phase right now, which is good because all of 2023 they didn't do really much any growth at all, which I was surprised. They were actually, well, you can see by the numbers here, their BTC monthly production was going down. So BTC Mine monthly here, you can see it was going down all the way through October. Then they merged with USBTC, and a nice jump here in BTC Mine, along with in December. And then month over month difference, you can see that BTC HODL has been kind of up and down here. They've been starting to sell a little bit more this year than they did. Well, they didn't sell anything last year at all. They were hiding pretty much, but you can see how that production has been going up and down and everything. But they peaked at 9,366 here in September. BTC per exahash efficiency has also increased here, which is nice to see. BTC sold, you can see what they've been selling. Hash rate, they said 7.2 now, or 7.3 now at 7.2 roughly. And then their revenue here, you can see what Hut 8 alone revenue was like for pretty much all of 2023. And then once they got going with USBTC, what a huge increase that was basically a 3x increase in revenue just by joining with USBTC here. And then obviously we're at 19.27 million here in December. So the merger was actually a good thing for HUT. They definitely needed it. BTC sold value, or how much they sold each month, hash rate difference month over month, and then last 4 quarters revenue. You can see HUT by themselves in Q3 was at 9.3 million. Now we're looking at combined, but this is only for November, December numbers are with the combined company, and then September or October is with HUT 8 by itself. So this is still not as accurate as I would like it to be, because I'm sure this would be probably even higher if they were merged in October at that time. Okay. Same thing. Don't disregard any of these numbers here, because these are all just for HUT 8 numbers. Okay. Now going down to here to institutions, here we have 179 institutions now, so that's down from 186. Shares did decrease here a little bit here to 7.73 million from 7.78 million, and then the percentage here went way down here, which is surprising that went from 16.9 to 8.73, but that's just what's being reported by the app that I'm using. So we'll go with those numbers here. We still have 1 buy rating, 1 hold rating. That's a change from the 2 that we had prior. Then we have 0 underperform, 0 sell. Price targets actually increased a little bit here to 1779 from 1770. The average actually went down to 1123 from 1135, and the low went up actually to 748 from 740 here. Okay. Now, as far as what they were mining here, this gets a little bit more tricky here, because on the combined company, when they provide the numbers, looks like on average they have about 97 terahash machines and about 75,000 or so of those. And then you can see here that HUT by themselves, excuse me, had all of these 77 terahash miners, 87 terahash, 89, 90s, 96, 93 terahash miners. So those are a little bit older ones there. So I think they're probably getting rid of some of the older ones in there. So we do have the numbers to get them there. Without the BTC transaction fees, it looks like they were curtailing a little bit here at 28.5, or at least not running in their full potential yet, as they are repairing machines and things like that. We added 3.2 million in additional revenue for the BTC transaction fees here, which is the 20%. It's kind of what I was aiming for with all of these miners, to get them to at least 20% of that if they actually were able to do that. Okay, so that got us to the 19.27 million, which is what we were looking for. And going back up here, we can see here that these numbers are going to be off, like I said. So these are going back to the last 3 quarters in the current quarter that we're in. That shows $5.73 to $8.60. Those numbers are off, so that's why I put in here rating. Do not use old data, right? So overvalued. That's wrong. I think going forward is maybe a little bit more accurate. I think, because we're looking at the current numbers for December as far as revenue is concerned for self mining, multiplying it times the 3 months before the halving event and then 9 months after the halving event at 50%, and we're getting them to $12.24 to $18.36. So I think they're undervalued based on this. Okay, we'll get better data as we get more information from the combined companies, from quarterly results and things like that. But right now, it's just going to be based on future potential revenue, based on what they mine and generate revenue from the prior month. Okay, and we do this for the miners as well to kind of see how things compare going forward as they are from the past. Okay, so that is it. I think that's great news for them. They obviously needed to grow. They are looking to buy facilities. They're also getting facilities in Canada that they're bidding on from Validus's bankruptcy, so that should help them grow there also. So they do have a lot of things in the pipeline right now, which I think are going to be good for them going forward. Okay, so that's it. Let me know what you guys think of that one, and then let's get into the last one here, which is going to be on Iris Energy. So Iris Energy announces monthly investor update for December 2023, and here's what we have on them. Let's see, 4,123 BTC mined in calendar year 2023, which is nice. Average operating hash rate. I hate when miners use average hash rate. I wish they would just provide, here's what we have installed, here's what we mined, and that's it. Or at least what's supposed to be operating, or is plugged in, operating, and energized. Okay, but they reported 5.57 exahash. Bitcoin mined 399. Their electricity cost per Bitcoin is 14,158. On that, we've talked about the expansion to 10 exahash being fully funded in a previous video. I'm not going to get into that as well. We talked about the high performance computing as well. Let me see what else we have here. Just some updates here. So current 5.6 exahash operating. So they're saying 5.6 is what they're at. They're using the average. So I think I have them at 5.7 right now. But shipping Q1, they're going to get 2.7 exahash in Q1 and then 1.6 exahash in Q2. So right after the halving event there, they'll be at 10 exahash, which is, I think, fantastic. and they're obviously going to be looking to grow even further beyond that. So we'll leave it at that. Let's take a look at the numbers that I do have for them, and we'll call it a day. Okay, so Iris Energy, 66.7 million shares outstanding right now. Market cap 412 million. Stock price is at $6.19. The performance over the last 12 weeks has been pretty good. 135% up from 12 weeks ago. 141 from 8 weeks ago. 22% up from 4 weeks ago, and they were down 14.58% from last week. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. Current hash rate, I'm at 5.7 because I keep providing this doggone average number for them. So I'm using that. Future hash rate, 10 exahash. They do have some growth left in them, obviously 50% growth. They don't hodl anything, which I think is also a mistake. CEO, this is one thing that I disagree with the CEO on with Iris Energy. He looks at Bitcoin miners as gold miners, right? The only thing I can say to that is gold, if you look over the 10-year history of it, has not done much as far as go up in value. Bitcoin, with each halving event, has skyrocketed in price. There's a difference to it. You can't equate the two to be the same, right? There's a time to hodl with Bitcoin and a time to sell. Time to hodl is before the halving event. Usually, you could go 12 months before the halving event or something like that. Start hodling really good then, and then as you get into the bull run, start selling it. That way, the Bitcoin that you hodl is going to be valued more after the halving event. That's kind of where we disagree on it. But other than that, the growth has been great. So as you guys know, I do own the stock there. Month over month difference here. BTC hodl, obviously BTC per exahash efficiency, 69.99, which is pretty good here. And let me clear my throat here really quick. Okay, sorry about that. BTC sold, they sell everything. Hash rate, their hash rate has been kind of stuck here ever since April. We've seen a little bit of increases here and there, but it's been minimal. And then we've seen the Bitcoin revenue here at 16.9 million, almost 17 million here. So that's their best here in the last 13 months. They started last year at 2 million. So a nice increase here. Almost, was that going to be almost 8x increase in revenue here in the last year. That's fantastic there to see. Hash rate difference month over month, BTC sold value as well. Current quarter estimated, we got them at 34.4 million. That doesn't sound right. What are we missing here? Something's amiss. It should be 41. Oh, we're using the data over here. It should be 41 million. 41, how do you give it 40? Oh, okay, that's the other thing that kind of irks me a little bit with them. They provide their financial results every 6 months. So normally we would get 2 results from the other miners because they provide them quarterly, but with them, then we get them every 6 months. They were providing them last year or the year before quarterly, and then they changed over to biannually, I guess. So that's kind of why it's off. So if you want to do that, we really need to include the prior quarter, which I think is going to be, what are we looking at, 75 million roughly. So it's going to be definitely an increase here for that. Okay, so that will be an increase, so don't go by this. And then let's see here. What else do we have here? Let's go down here. Total current assets are looking pretty good right now, which is good. And then this is from H2, 74 million. Yeah, okay. That's why I said this half a year thing is driving me nuts. Institution side of things, 71. So that increased actually from 69. Shares also increased to 17.7 million from 17 million. And then percentage owned to 27.6 from 26.6. So that's good there. We still have 1 strong buy rating. We have 6 buy ratings now. That's a decrease from the 7 that we had the prior month. And we still have 0 hold, 0 underperform, 0 sells. Price targets pretty much stayed the same here for $14 for the high. We did get an increase on the average to $9.64 and the low to $8 here. So let's say the same as well. As far as their operations side of things here, we got them to, let's see here, approximately operating in December for 30 days roughly. And that got us to the 20% roughly in BTC transaction fees here at 3.59 million for the total of 16.9 million in revenue, which, yeah, that coincides with that. Okay, so that kind of all works out there. And let's see here. Based on all of this, I am between looking backwards here the last 3 quarters, which is going to be basically based on my numbers here that are estimated on these figures here, right? If you look at it, sorry for the back and forth. I'm just going to want to point this out. So this is the current quarter that we just finished, which is Q4. And then the last 3 quarters are going to be it's the combination of the H2 and the Q3 numbers here. So that's that combination there. And that's kind of where we're getting them to $18.37 to $27.55. They're at $6.19. They're definitely undervalued. So the only thing I think of that's really here is either their hodl is not, well, they don't hodl anything. So either their hodl is having an impact on the stock price, or that they report every 6 months. If they started reporting quarterly, maybe investors would have a little bit more data as far as what's going on with the company, have maybe a little bit more appetite to invest in them, right? But that's kind of what we're seeing right now. And then if you look at going forward, the next 3 months before the halving event and the 9 months after the halving event at 50%, we're looking at $19.09 to $28.63. So it's even more than where we are in the prior quarters figures. So definitely undervalued in my opinion, and something that I'm looking to possibly buy a little bit more. And it kind of ran away from me a little bit here in the beginning, but we'll see where those things go. And then we'll see how they continue going forward. Obviously, they're going to get to 10 exahash this year sometime. And then they have plans that they want to grow even more, but we'll just have to see when they do those things, right? We only report on miners that are bought. We don't report on planned growth, because any company can say that they're getting to 200 exahash, but when will they do that? Well, once we start seeing when they purchase the miners, okay? So as always, the spreadsheets are available to my patrons, so they get access to all the spreadsheets there. The link is going to be down in the description for that. And that's still $5 a month. I think there's only a couple seats left at the $5 a month amount. And then after that, will go up. I'm still debating as far as what to charge for the next tier going forward. But we'll see after that. I'll provide you guys with the information when that does happen. But other than that, that's it, I think. So all in all, pretty good updates here from all these miners here. Cleanspark, obviously, with the 500 shelf offering, is going to be interesting to see how they grow going forward. Let me know what you guys think of them. What do you see them possibly growing with that much money? But we'll see. Okay, so coming up this weekend, we'll do probably just one video, maybe two, depending on what's going on. We'll look at some metrics, maybe things like that. But stay tuned to that. Otherwise, thank you so much to all the Patreon members, to all the YouTube members as well for their continued support. Thank you so much for coming in to watch this. It's Friday night, and I know you got probably better things to do than watch me rattle off a bunch of numbers here, but I do appreciate it greatly. So thank you very much. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.